In this video, we're going to transform this unassuming YZ250 into our monster 500cc two-stroke dirt bike. We've just taken delivery of a very special prototype YZ500 kit from the awesome Canadian company BRC Racing. But before we hit the workshop, let me just show you the scale of what we are doing. So this is a cylinder from a standard YZ250. As you can see, pretty normal. You can't put your fist in there or anything, but this is the cylinder from our YZ500, and your fist is going straight through there. That's the difference between standard YZ250 and the YZ500. This is going to get interesting. We're going to start the build very, very soon, and then we'll be hitting the track to find out what the true difference between this and this is in action. Let's hit the workshop. Okay, so it's a super exciting day here in the workshop. As you can see, Roland Shaw from Hardcore Racing has started work on the project. We're taking the motor out of our 2022 YZ250, and there's a box of goodies down here all the way from Canada, and that is going to go in here in this video. So let's get cracking. Okay, Roland, so this probably isn't something you do every day, taking a perfectly good engine out of a perfectly good bike. So how do you feel about doing that today?
Well, it's all right. It's nice that it's not all filthy. Yeah. It's nice, it's clean, there's nothing rounded off, it's all brand spanky new, so it makes life a bit easier.
Yeah, it's literally only been ridden twice, once by me and once by Tom. Yeah. So yeah, it's hardly done any work.
Well, it's an exciting project making a 500 YZ, isn't it? You've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go. We won't fit in our box. We don't quit, we won't stop. Ride us all to the top. We won't fit in up, we won't fit in up, we won't fit in your box. No, we don't quit, we won't stop. No, ride us all to the top. We won't fit in your box. No.
Okay, so the first stage of the process tonight is taking the motor out of our 2022 YZ250, so that's what's going on now. And we're going to do that before we open up the box from Canada and take a look at what parts that Riley sent us and what you actually get in the package when you buy a BRC motor. So, on with the job. Okay, so we started this at 5 to 5. It's now 25 past 5, so in just about half an hour, Roland's managed to get it so the engine is ready to come out. So that's pretty quick, I'd say, Roland.
It's all right.
He reckons it's all right. He reckons he could do it quicker if he was in a real rush, but we're taking our time with this, making sure everything's done right. So we get this bad boy out now. Okay, so the engine is out and Roland is stripping it down now. The BRC kit, you do use the original transmission and clutch from the donor bike, but you get new crankcases and barrel and stuff like that. So that's why Roland's stripping down the engine now. It's nearly done. Okay, so we're at the point now where we've taken the transmission and the clutch out of the original YZ250 engine. So Roland's just putting the cases back together now to make sure everything stays clean and tidy. The great thing about the BRC kit is that you're not making any irreversible changes to the motor. So if we want to change it back, we can do that. So that's why we're putting the cases back together now, just so if we want to do that at a later date, everything stays nice and clean and tidy. Okay, so we finally opened up the box and we're going to get out all the parts and lay them on the bench here and show you guys what you actually get when you order a BRC kit. So first things up is the pipe that comes with the kit. It's an FMF pipe, but we will actually be getting later on down the line a cone pipe delivered. So this will be on there temporarily, and then we'll get this cone pipe that should be coming soon. Tailpipe, FMF again. Right, the first box.
We've got a water pump cover.
Yep.
All about the housing and cover. Nice bit of sand casting. One machine, looks good. And we've got a bucket. Normal name, cylinder. Complete with diaphragm power valve system already installed. It does look like it's going to be a quick cylinder. There's some really nice porting going on in there. Right. So we have water pump stuff. We've got clutch cover top bolt.
I have to say, all nicely labelled,
Yeah,
which is very helpful, so thanks, Riley.
and we have your favourite part, valve decompressor, and the breather for the crankcases. All right, balance shaft.
I can only imagine what this bike's going to be like to ride. It's like a 500 in a modern chassis, counterbalance shaft, power valve. It's going to be fun.
You get that? So we've got the bush, seal.
But you're getting excited about that, aren't you?
Yeah.
Quite Christmas, isn't it?
Better than Christmas, isn't it, Roland?
It is better than most.
Two-stroke Christmas.
Yeah, two-stroke Christmas.
Well, straightforward.
Vertex piston, Honda CR500.
Yeah, I think it's a very, very good comprehensive kit, and if it all goes to plan, like I suspect it will, it all looks like it's going to be a fairly straightforward build. I don't see too much stress here.
So for me, you get a kit like this and you look at it and you think, uh-oh. But for a competent mechanic, you think it looks pretty straightforward and easy to do.
It's a nice comprehensive kit that's it's self-explanatory.
Now that we've laid out all of the components from BRC, Roland can now begin getting his head around where to start with this build. First things first was getting the 250 transmission fitted into the BRC cases. Okay, so we're just about at the halfway stage of the build now. It's day 2 in the workshop. Last night Roland took the engine out of the bike and then stripped the engine down and then got the transmission from the YZ engine and got it into the BRC cases. So we're ready to go today to build up that motor. So we're about to crack on with that, but first, in the first episode, we asked you guys for some ideas for names for this bike, names for this beast, and we had a load of comments, but there's one name that came out on top. There were so many suggestions for this name, I just could not ignore it. Like I've said before, we love to build a bit of character around our channel bikes. So once again, I've got my good friend Carol Loveridge to design a logo for our monster. At first, I was shying away from the YZilla name, because I didn't want to copy Travis Pastrana and his RM Zilla. But at the end of the day, the YZilla name just makes so much sense for this bike, and so many of you suggested it, we just had to go for it. So from here on out, our mission is to find out whether the YZilla truly is the king of the monsters. Now let's head back to the workshop.
And there is a little bit of a note to say that we've got quite a thin point here. And so not only do you need a gasket, but there's a little bit of silicone just to be required. There's a bit of backup on that section there that's quite thin. So it's just in here, there's a bit of silicone required. Hence the handy little note in the cases for me. Now it's a bespoke crankshaft for the job. It's got a Proxicon rod on it.
Looking at a number 3 on that casing, which probably means that's number 3 engine. We know, to our knowledge, there's only one of these at the moment built up in the world, which is Riley's own bike.
Yeah.
How does it make you feel seeing that being put together?
That's pretty cool, isn't it? It feels pretty special what we're doing in the workshop today and yesterday. And really, I think Roland's just as excited as us to see this thing in action. Definitely going to be the first one in this country, and hopefully we'll make the first proper mint video of one of these things ripping. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
Press this main end, push this main end seal in on the ignition side. I've put some rubber grease on just to help things go on nicely, which it is, which is a very good fit in all respects, both with the crankshaft and the cases.
Okay, Roland, so the next part is fitting the counterbalance shaft. We talked a little bit about it yesterday, and I know what it feels like to ride a bike with a counterbalance shaft, the KTM 250s, so I kind of know what it does on the track, but what's actually happening inside the engine, like in technical terms, to give us those effects?
Right, well, if you were to, in the normal way, just with the sole crankshaft, go for a highly balanced crank, then in its own way, you'd end up with something that was either quite lethargic or in certain ways would vibrate quite a bit. So by using a counterbalance shaft, you get the benefits of a low vibration, smoother power delivery, without the engine being overly lethargic.
Yeah, and that's something we're really excited about because CR500 doesn't have one.
Nope.
KX500 doesn't have one.
Nope.
So it's going to be
Yeah.
an experience to ride a 500 with
Yeah.
what should be like really smooth, nice power.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to slide the counterbalance shaft through. So this is the counterbalance weight, which will be timed with marks on the crankshaft on the other side. As you can see, we've got the timing marks which are lined here. Nice little note from the manufacturer. Tallied here to a mark on the gear, and then we've got on the gear to the crankshaft we have these two dots which also tally, so everything's in the right place. We've got our counterbalance shaft keyed to the shaft. We've got this gear keyed to the counterbalance shaft. We've timed it correctly. All of the marks are all correct, so we've got this match up between the timing marks on the counterbalance shaft through to the crankshaft. Our gear shift shaft's in, our gear shifting mechanism is in, our idle gear, our kickstart shaft, everything's in. So this is all going to kind of get a bit lost now behind the clutch. So we're going to build the clutch on, then it's going to be a case of do the clutch cover and, well, we've got to build the water pump into the clutch cover, put the clutch cover on, and then it's on with the cylinder, and then pretty much back in the frame. So we've now put in the standard Yamaha YZ250 clutch setup, which is married perfectly to the primary kickstart. Everything is all engaging as you'd hope it to, so fair play to the boys again, good job, proper engineering exercise has been completed. A YZ250 is an intimidating bike in itself, but obviously once you get onto the monster amount of torque that's available from a 500, then you would ask the question, would the clutch be up to the job? Well, I would have said it would be, because it's not the kind of thing that you slip and give a particularly hard time for. With a 500 engine, you do tend to run in the mid-range of the power. You tend to stay within one or two gears. You do tend to roll on and roll off the throttle. There's no need to be brutal with the clutch to pick up speed or to get the engine RPM up. It will naturally progress, and the way that you want the power delivered is in that mid-range. And I think this clutch would be more than happy to take all of that. So it's a good job.
Okay, so Roland's been making some really good progress. We've just finished putting the clutch system in, so up next is to build the water pump bits into there. So that's next on the list.
Original gear going on a new water pump shaft. It is just a press fit, so when you do the build for this, you need to have a press available to you to be able to push this gear onto the new shaft. So it's original gear pressed off the original shaft and now will be pressed onto the new shaft to work with the water pump and the new cover. Right, so we've installed the two water pump bearings, two seals, and we've repressed the genuine gear on, which quite nicely comes up flush against the end of the shaft, and you can see that it butts up against the inner race of the innermost bearing. So all's looking good, everything's been designed and engineered correctly. Very nice. Loads of gasket manufacturers don't seem to be able to put holes in the right places. With these guys, whoever they're using to get their gasket, it's a sign that they're looking to do the job right. The gaskets are good. You know, they fit nicely, everything's as you'd want it to be. So it's good. Singing their praises tonight. Yeah, water pump's going on now. We're getting close. We're getting our build together. We're now going to move on and we're going to looking to build up the top end of the engine. So we're going to be installing the bearing and piston on, base gasket. We're going to set the squish and put the cylinder head on, and then we're ready to put it back in the frame basically, which is really exciting.
So like Roland said, it's about time to fit the piston, and I just wanted to show you the difference between a 250 piston and a 500 piston. So this is actually from, it would be for a CR500, but just look at the difference there.
The tub is on.
So the head's about to go on, almost the moment of truth. Our monster motor is built. Let's get it in the bike. Oh, moment of truth.
Get the engine in the frame. I think we probably could have spent a bit more time squealing it in, but I felt the easiest way was to get everything out of the way. So swing arm off, subframe out of the way, and yeah, push it backwards, slide it forwards, in she went lovely.
So after 2 long nights in the workshop, we were actually working until the early hours of the morning on this second day. We, and when I say we, I really mean Roland, finally got the motor built and mounted into the chassis. We could then start reassembling our bike. We were so excited to get this build done, but before we could finish in the workshop, we had a few final mods and adjustments to make. Then, and only then, could we fire the YZ into life for the very first time. Next time, we'll walk you through the final process of the build in the workshop, and we'll show you just how good the BRC kit looks in our 250 chassis. And then it's time for the ultimate moment of truth. Can we get her started? Tune in next week to find out, and be sure to subscribe to 999 Laser to never miss a YZ episode. As always guys, my name is Max, this is 999 Laser, and until next week, I'll see you at the track.